The terrifying explosion of the fire lotus caused the vast space, spanning thousands of feet, to twist and warp. The monstrous flames surged, devouring everything in their path. Within a 1,000-mile radius, everything was reduced to an inferno, with even the natural spiritual energy of heaven and earth beginning to burn. When the fiery waves finally subsided, the massive black palace that once stood in the mountains had vanished without a trace. In its place was a vast pit, thousands of feet wide, its bottom shrouded in bottomless darkness, sending a chill through those who gazed upon it. Outside the immense pit, Xiao Yan hovered in the air, surrounded by 22 swirling heavenly flames. His expression was indifferent as he gazed down into the abyss. His calm voice echoed into the dark chasm below. "Come out. This attack can't harm you." Buzz. As Xiao Yan's voice faded, a blood-red light began to spread from the depths of the pit. Slowly, a figure dressed in white rose from the darkness, standing with his hands behind his back. A sinister smile played across his face as he stared at Xiao Yan, and his eyes gleamed a deep blood red. Xiao Yan recognized the man in white immediately. This had to be Huang Yunpo. From the lower dimension? "Interesting," Huang Yunpo said, his eyes fixed on Xiao Yan with an indifferent tone. Shwa shwa shwa. Figures began to tear through the air and appeared behind Huang Yunpo. These were the over 30 supreme powerhouses from the Blood God Great Camp. But what surprised Huang Yunpo was that, despite facing so many powerful figures, the young man from the lower dimension, Xiao Yan, showed no signs of hesitation or fear. The strength of a 6th-grade supreme might make you invincible in your dimension, but that arrogance won't serve you well in the Great Thousand Worlds, Huang Yunpo remarked, eyes locked on Xiao Yan. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Before Huang Yunpo finished speaking, a series of sounds of tearing space rang out behind Xiao Yan. In an instant, Luo Jiutian and more than 20 supreme powerhouses appeared, standing behind Xiao Yan. Huang Yunpo, shall we settle the old scores now? Luo Jiutian stepped forward, his voice cold as it reached Huang Yunpo and his group. You've brought a breaker from a lower dimension to settle scores? Is this your foundation? Huang Yunpo mocked, looking at Luo Jiutian and the others with a sneer. Boom. As Huang Yunpo finished speaking, a figure shot out from behind him, emanating the aura of a 6th-grade supreme. The figure pierced through the air and arrived directly in front of Xiao Yan, a vicious grin spreading across his face. His massive fist, filled with overwhelming spiritual energy, crashed down toward Xiao Yan. Find a place to hide and cultivate. Maybe in a few hundred years, you'll be at a level where you can look down on us. But for now, you're courting death. A cold laugh echoed from the figure as his fist descended toward Xiao Yan. However, to his surprise, Xiao Yan didn't even glance at him, his hands still resting behind his back. Clang! Just as the massive fist, capable of shattering the earth, was about to land on Xiao Yan, a brilliant burst of fire erupted from the man's chest. The man's pupils shrank in shock. Before anyone knew it, an 18-colored fire lotus had appeared in front of the man's chest. A destructive aura spread out, sending a chill down his spine. Even Huang Yunpo, standing not far away, felt the terrifying force. But before he could react, an earth-shattering explosion filled the air. Boom! The 18-colored fire lotus erupted in a dazzling display of light under Xiao Yan's indifferent expression. The explosion caused the space to collapse, and dark fissures spread out in all directions. Swish! Amid the raging fire, a figure, nearly scorched to a crisp, was flung out like a bird with broken wings, crashing into the ground below. The earth within 1,000 feet of him crumbled, and the figure that lay there was clearly on the brink of death. A 6th-grade supreme, on par with Xiao Yan, had been instantly killed. The supreme powerhouses behind Huang Yunpo, standing tens of meters away, couldn't help but gasp in shock. Their expressions twitched, and they realized why Luo Jiutian dared to bring help so boldly. Hee, Huang Yunpo, what do you think of my foundation? However, Huang Yunpo showed no intention of retreating. Instead, he smirked mockingly. If this is the extent of your confidence, then prepare for despair. Huang Yunpo's words made Luo Jiutian and the others tense up, as if pondering the true meaning behind them. Just then, an overwhelming surge of energy erupted from Huang Yunpo's body, sending shockwaves through everyone present. Boom! A torrent of blood-red spiritual energy shot into the sky, scattering the dark clouds above. Sensing this unprecedented power, a stunned exclamation escaped Luo Jiutian's lips. E8 Grade Supreme. Luo Jiutian's shocked voice echoed as his figure swiftly moved to stand beside Xiao Yan. At this moment, Xiao Yan's gaze toward Huang Yunpo turned slightly more serious. So, do you still think you can destroy my blood god great camp now? Hovering midair, Huang Yunpo crossed his arms and looked mockingly at Luo Jiutian and Xiao Yan. Hearing this, Luo Jiutian's previously calm demeanor became grave. Behind them, the 22 supreme powerhouses of the Luo god great camp were clearly outmatched by the 30-plus supreme experts of the blood god great camp. If Luo Jiutian joined the battle, they might achieve a balance, possibly even suppressing the enemy. Yet, Huang Yunpo had just broken through the bottleneck of the 7th grade supreme to reach the 8th grade supreme, a development beyond Luo Jiutian's expectations. This forced him to consider joining forces with Xiao Yan against Huang Yunpo. Even then, the Luo God Great Camp's Supremes were bound to lose in a prolonged fight. A seemingly assured victory for today had been utterly overturned by Huang Yunpo's sudden breakthrough. Luo Jiutian, do you think you should retreat with your people or stay and fight to the death against my blood god Great Camp? As Luo Jiutian wrestled with the situation, Huang Yunpo's calm voice interrupted his thoughts. Huang Yunpo's words caught Luo Jiutian off guard. His brows furrowed as he realized this offer for retreat was uncharacteristic of the blood god Great Camp. Could it be they didn't want a mutually destructive battle either? Still, Luo Jiutian knew that continuing the fight would likely result in his side's defeat. While Huang Yunpo's victory would come at a cost, it was wiser to withdraw now and preserve their strength for the future. Though Huang Yunpo had reached the 8th grade supreme, his recent breakthrough meant he might not yet be able to stop all their supreme powerhouses from retreating. As retreat thoughts formed in Luo Jiutian's mind, Xiao Yan, who had been silent until now, suddenly smiled slightly. His voice reached Luo Jiutian's ears, causing the latter to pause in surprise. Senior Luo Jiutian, if you join the rear battle, can the Luo God Great Camp claim victory? If Huang Yunpo hadn't broken through, that might have worked. But given the current situation, it's not looking good. Luo Jiutian understood Xiao Yan's intent. He wanted Luo Jiutian to hold off the rear battlefield while Xiao Yan dealt with Huang Yunpo. Before Huang Yunpo's breakthrough, this plan might have been feasible, but now everything had changed. This new development had completely disrupted their strategy. If Senior Luo Jiutian trusts Xiao Yan, Xiao Yan's calm voice spread across the battlefield as an immense aura surged from his body, making Huang Yunpo frown. Leave Huang Yunpo to me. Hearing Xiao Yan's firm and resolute tone, Luo Jiutian was momentarily stunned, his heart filled with shock. Can you really do it? Luo Jiutian asked, disbelief evident in his expression. Although Xiao Yan had withstood his full-strength attack earlier in the Luo God Great Camp, that didn't mean he could contend with a true 8th grade supreme powerhouse. The entire sky fell silent at Xiao Yan's words. Over 50 supreme powerhouses were present, yet all their faces were filled with shock and horror. Who could have imagined that a mere 6th grade supreme youth would dare to confront an 8th grade supreme? In the realm of supremes, every single grade difference meant several times the disparity in strength. In terms of spiritual power, Huang Yunpo's was 10 times that of Xiao Yan. This is interesting, Huang Yunpo said with a calm smile upon hearing Xiao Yan's words. I suppose you're thinking that since I've just broken through to the 8th grade supreme and my aura isn't fully stabilized, you want to take advantage of this opening? Yes, you guessed it. Xiao Yan didn't deny it and smiled back. He knew this was the perfect opportunity, with Huang Yunpo still in the process of stabilizing his powers after his breakthrough. Arrogant. Huang Yunpo looked at Xiao Yan, a cold sneer curling on his lips. How would you know if you don't try? Xiao Yan chuckled and then turned his gaze toward Luo Jiutian. Senior Luo Jiutian, leave the others to you. We'll deal with them first, and then join forces to take on him. Luo Jiutian looked at Xiao Yan's determined expression. Though he still felt some concern, unsure whether this young man could truly bridge the vast gap between 6th grade and 8th grade supreme, He understood that he had brought a large group into the Blood God Great Camp. If they were forced to retreat now, it would be a huge loss of face. With that in mind, it would be better to fight with everything they had. Perhaps there was a chance to wipe out the Blood God Great Camp. Of course, the key to this was Xiao Yan. You hold off Huang Yunpo for now. Once we deal with the other Supremes from the Blood God Great Camp, we'll join forces to fight him. Even if he is an 8th grade Supreme, there's no way he can withstand the combined force of so many Supreme powerhouses, Luo Jiutian said to Xiao Yan, who gave a firm nod in response. Heh, this is getting interesting. Luo Jiutian, today, I'll entertain you. Let's see who can destroy who first. Your Blood God Great Camp, or my forces crushing this brat. Luo Jiutian's words echoed in Huang Yunpo's ears, who responded with a cold sneer. His expression twisted into something much more sinister, and a thunderous voice rang out across the sky. I've given you an escape route, but you don't seem to appreciate it. Now, let me see what kind of strength these so-called powerful warriors from the Great Thousand Worlds really possess. Xiao Yan's voice rang out with a chilling determination. The flame seed in his hand rippled with terrifying energy, causing even the surrounding space to seem on the verge of igniting. This was a devastating move Xiao Yan had created while in seclusion in Central Continent after the Battle of the Twin Emperors. During that battle, he had realized that the techniques that allowed him to fight beyond his level had gradually lost their effectiveness after reaching the Dodi level. Since then, he had devised several techniques to enhance his strength through skill. The flame seed he held was one of these. Perhaps it was the reincarnation of the Buddha's angry lotus flame, reborn into a new form. He had named it Tian Ban. When the heavenly pattern appears, the heavens and earth are shaken. Want to end this with a single move? Huang Yunpo looked at the small flame seed in Xiao Yan's hand. This was likely the strongest technique the young man could muster, and the deadly sense of danger made him immediately channel his spiritual power to its maximum. Boom! The surging spiritual energy, thick and viscous like blood, spread a blood-red light and enveloped the area. The very space around them began to tremble. Indeed, the power of an 8th grade Supreme was not something a 7th grade Supreme could compare to. Then let me see just what kind of monstrous power you, a person from a lower dimension, can muster. Huang Yunpo's deep voice boomed, resounding through the heavens and earth. Ding! A dark red light erupted from Huang Yunpo's hand, transforming into a blood-red staff nearly 10 feet long. A wave of energy, as if it could corrode the very space itself, spread out from the staff, causing the surrounding powerhouses to collectively gasp in shock. An item with this kind of energy fluctuation was far beyond the realm of spiritual tools. It was a true divine artifact, or perhaps a medium-grade divine artifact. Even a low-grade divine artifact was far superior to any spiritual weapon. Even Luo Jiutian, upon seeing Huang Yunpo summon a divine artifact, couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat. A supreme powerhouse wielding a divine artifact could potentially challenge even stronger opponents. However, as Xiao Yan had just arrived in the Great Thousand Worlds, he was unaware of the true extent of a divine artifact's power. Boom! Huang Yunpo pushed his spiritual energy to its limit, gripping a blood-red staff tightly. With a sinister grin spreading across his face, his figure vanished from his original spot. In the next instant, he crossed thousands of feet of space and appeared directly in front of Xiao Yan. I didn't even use this blood demon staff in my battle with Luo Jiutian. Consider it an honor, a gift for you, a dimension barrier breaker. Huang Yunpo's voice echoed in Xiao Yan's ears. The blood demon staff in his hands surged with an overwhelming blood energy, shattering the space as it swung fiercely toward Xiao Yan. The surrounding area filled with angry curses from the Luo God Great Camp's powerhouses. Seeing an 8th grade Supreme attacking a 6th grade Supreme first, they scorned Huang Yunpo's lack of dignity. It seemed Huang Yunpo also viewed Xiao Yan as someone not worth respecting. Xiao Yan remained silent, his expression calm as Huang Yunpo's attack approached. This indifference made Huang Yunpo's expression twist with anger and humiliation. Are these so-called dimension barrier breakers just arrogant because they sat at the peak of the lower dimensions for too long? Huang Yunpo thought, his irritation mounting. Che, take that kingly attitude of yours and shove it. Huang Yunpo growled, his rage flaring as he swung his blood-red staff downward. The overwhelming blood energy corroded the surrounding space as it descended toward Xiao Yan. Ding! Watching Huang Yunpo lose his temper, Xiao Yan calmly lifted his hand, holding a radiant seed of fire. He thrust it forward, his voice ringing out with chilling sharpness. Apologies, but I promised Senior Liu Bei Dao to take your head. Boom! As Xiao Yan's words fell, Huang Yunpo's blood-red staff slammed heavily against the tiny flame. A deafening roar and a surge of brilliant blood light swept across the space. Haha, is that all? Empty threats. Huang Yunpo mocked, his voice brimming with disdain. But as his staff collided with the flame, a flicker of alarm crept into his heart. Despite its immense power, the flame seemed to have no impact on the staff. The blood demon staff struck the flame as if hitting empty air. The dazzling flame vanished under the impact, but a wild smile began to spread across Xiao Yan's face. Laughing maniacally, Huang Yunpo prepared to launch another attack. Yet as he glanced at his staff, his expression abruptly shifted. A surge of panic flooded his heart. What is this? Huang Yunpo's voice trembled as he stared at the staff. To his shock, a small hole the size of a fingernail had appeared on the weapon. The very fabric of the staff had disintegrated into nothingness. Ding! While Huang Yunpo was still reeling from the inexplicable damage to his staff, a resplendent glow burst forth in front of his chest. A flame seed, carrying unfathomable power, revealed itself. Only then did Huang Yunpo realize the source of the hole in his weapon. The seemingly contained fire Xiao Yan had unleashed hadn't been nullified by the blood demon staff. Instead, it had vaporized part of the weapon's divine material through its extreme heat. It was an annihilation, unstoppable and unavoidable. I refuse to believe this is unstoppable. Huang Yunpo roared, retreating rapidly as the fire seed approached his chest. Despite his 8th grade supreme strength and the support of a divine artifact, he found himself at a disadvantage after just a few exchanges with this young man. The overwhelming crimson aura spread like a tide, as the blood-colored staff in Huang Yunpo's hand rapidly expanded. In an instant, it transformed into a massive staff spanning thousands of meters. However, the hole created by the heavenly pattern piercing through it also swelled proportionally, reaching nearly 100 meters wide. Behind Huang Yunpo, the colossal blood demon body trembled. It extended a massive arm, grabbing the thousands of meters-long blood demon staff, and swung the gigantic divine artifact with overwhelming might toward the incoming heavenly pattern. Boom! Xiao Yan stood motionless in the void, his expression indifferent as he watched the colossal staff collide fiercely with the heavenly pattern. Even the distant battle zones momentarily halted, as everyone turned their attention to see whether Xiao Yan's heavenly pattern could pose a threat to Huang Yunpo. Crack! Under the pressure of the heavenly pattern, cracks began to spread across the massive blood demon staff. All eyes were drawn to the sight of the gigantic staff shattering, piece by piece, starting from where the heavenly pattern had struck. Huang Yunpo's pupils contracted sharply at this moment. The heavenly pattern had obliterated the divine artifact without resistance. To Huang Yunpo, losing this artifact was a devastating blow. It was something he had painstakingly acquired from the Blood God clan, even convincing the clan's grand elder that it would annihilate the Luo God clan's defenses in the northwest region. Now, this artifact had been destroyed by a mere pattern. Even if you're strong, you're at your limits now. Huang Yunpo's voice rumbled deeply as his hands rapidly formed a series of seals. With the staff shattered, the towering supreme Dharmakaya behind him clenched its massive fist. Following the staff's destruction, the blood demon body's fist surged forward, crashing towards the seemingly dimmed heavenly pattern that had just destroyed the divine artifact. Boom! The crimson giant fist, imbued with the power to shatter space, carried a torrent of blood-colored spiritual waves as it slammed toward the heavenly pattern. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed slightly as he observed the scene. A low murmur escaped his lips and reached the ears of Guluo Shan in a nearby battle zone. Senior Guluo Shan, may I borrow your flame? Hearing Xiao Yan's voice, Guluo Shan paused momentarily, clearly puzzled by Xiao Yan's request. He surmised that it was meant to deal with Huang Yunpo, but it was unprecedented to see someone wield so many flames simultaneously. Combined with the 6 mystical heavenly flames, Xiao Yan already controlled dozens of flames. With a surge of heat, a pair of massive crimson flame wings unfolded behind Gu Luoshan. A fiery red flame ignited in his palm, Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame, ranked 126th on the 100 million flames ranking. Then take it. Releasing the Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame, Gu Luoshan flicked his fingers, sending the fiery mass hurtling through the void. Its terrifying heat distorted the air, bending even the fabric of space, showcasing its formidable power. As the red flame streaked toward him, Xiao Yan pushed his spiritual energy to its limits. Chains of fire erupted from his body, weaving into a fiery net that ensnared the Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame tightly. Boom! Enraged by the restraint, the Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame unleashed waves of crimson fire, rippling outwards. Even the surrounding space began to show signs of melting under its ferocity. Flame Summoning Command. Xiao Yan's voice rang out, carrying a mysterious resonance that spread across the void. A profound energy enveloped the area within a 100,000-meter radius, including the struggling Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame. Under this influence, the fiery entity began to calm, much to the astonishment of onlookers. However, few noticed the pallor spreading across Xiao Yan's face. Swish! Now tamed, the Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame darted to Xiao Yan's side. Smiling faintly, he formed complex hand seals with practiced precision. Xiao Yan's command echoed across the sky. A brilliant flash of light erupted from the Blood Lotus Crimson Cloud Flame, and the red flame transformed into a crimson streak of light that pierced the sky, heading directly toward the heavenly pattern, which had just been struck by the blood demon body from afar. At the same time, the heavenly pattern shattered the arm of Huang Yunpo's blood demon body. The cost was that the heavenly pattern itself dimmed considerably, losing the majestic aura it once had. Haha, even though I sacrificed an arm of the Supreme, your time to die has come. Huang Yunpo's loud laughter echoed. He then swung another massive arm of the Supreme, sending a crushing force toward the now fragile heavenly pattern. However, Huang Yunpo's eyes suddenly contracted. Under his gaze, a red streak of light tore across the sky and struck the heavenly pattern. The once dim heavenly pattern suddenly flared with a vibrant glow, as if it had been infused with new, fresh flames. Boom! A vast sea of red flames swept across the sky before contracting. A terrifying wave of energy, even greater than before, spread from the heavenly pattern. Huang Yunpo's expression stiffened as he realized the situation had taken a turn. Shatter for me. Xiao Yan's voice rang out from not far away. The already enhanced heavenly pattern shot through the sky, colliding violently with the oncoming giant fist of the Supreme. Crack! Cracks quickly spread across the Supreme arm, and under the gaze of everyone, the arm shattered into pieces. With one of the blood demon body's arms destroyed, the heavenly pattern's momentum did not diminish. Despite Huang Yunpo's horrified gaze, it darted toward the massive blood demon body. Xiao Yan intended to use the opportunity to destroy Huang Yunpo's supreme Dharmakaya. The brilliant light from the heavenly pattern, compared to the massive blood-red body, seemed insignificant. If not for its radiant glow, the heavenly pattern would have gone unnoticed. Crack! Countless black space cracks spread across the massive blood demon body, and with a crashing sound, the immense body shattered, disintegrating before everyone's eyes. As the Dharmakaya crumbled, a mouthful of blood spurted from Huang Yunpo's mouth, and the entire world fell into a chilling silence. Even from afar, Luo Jiutian and the others stared in shock at the battlefield between Xiao Yan and Huang Yunpo, their expressions filled with fear. Luo Jiutian's body even trembled slightly, though whether from dread or excitement, he couldn't tell. Over a decade ago, after Liu Beidao and other supreme experts defended this borderland continent with their lives, the surviving ones gradually withdrew. What they did not expect was that the Blood God clan would once again send Huang Yunpo and others to attack this already shattered western Dao continent. The once recovering land was once again embroiled in the Blood God clan's invasion, and wherever they went, rivers of blood flowed. This event naturally enraged the Luo God clan, and Luo Jiutian and the others were sent to this place. However, the strength of the Blood God clan's Blood God Great Camp far exceeded their expectations, and for over 10 years, the Luo God Great Camp had been unable to drive them away. Not only had they failed to expel Huang Yunpo and his forces, but they had also been forced into a defensive position, slowly retreating in battle. The Luo God Camp had sought reinforcements from the Luo God clan, but due to the vast Luo God Grand Domain, where there were over 10 borderland continents like the Western Dao continent, other forces from the Luo God clan were also busy defending against invaders from other divine clans of the Western Heaven realm. Fighting against 3 divine clans at once left the Luo God clan with no spare forces to assist the Western Dao continent. Now, the only solution was for Luo Jiutian and the others to find a way out. A month ago, they had learned a troubling fact. Huang Yunpo's strength within the Blood God Great Camp might have made another breakthrough, reaching the 8th grade supreme. He actually seriously injured Huang Yunpo. The silence that lingered in the heavens and earth for several breaths was finally shattered by a voice full of shock. Boom, boom, boom. As the words spread, a wave of desperate energy surged to its peak across the battlefield. Huang Yunpo's injury at the hands of Xiao Yan was undoubtedly an unprecedented morale boost for the supreme powerhouses of the Luo God Great Camp. At this moment, every powerhouse of the Luo God Great Camp unleashed a frenzied assault against the Blood God Great Camp's forces. The intensity of their attacks far surpassed anything seen before. So, this is the strength of someone from a super dimension? Luo Jiutian drew in a sharp breath as he looked toward Xiao Yan, his gaze filled with a newfound respect. No longer did he harbor any trace of disdain. Perhaps this young man could truly handle Huang Yunpo. If so, today's dire situation might yet be salvaged. In the skies above, crimson blood rained down, and Huang Yunpo's aura rapidly weakened. Damn it! Huang Yunpo spat out a mouthful of blood, his gaze brimming with murderous intent as it locked onto the black-robed figure standing tall in the void before him. So, the gap between a 6th grade supreme and an 8th grade supreme is still too vast? Hovering in midair nearby, Xiao Yan's figure remained suspended, though his face had turned pale. The heavenly pattern he had just unleashed carried the force of 10 angry Buddha lotus flames combined. Such overwhelming power could easily annihilate opponents of the same level in the continent of Doqi. Yet within the supreme stage of the Great Thousand Worlds, it had only managed to inflict internal injuries on Huang Yunpo, 2 tiers above him. Undoubtedly, however, that strike had nearly drained Xiao Yan of all his power. Flame mantra, transforming heavenly flame. A low murmur escaped Xiao Yan's lips. In the next moment, an enigmatic wave rippled outward from his body, enveloping the space for nearly 1,000 miles. Yet this wave carried no trace of spiritual energy. Buzz. As this mysterious fluctuation spread, strands of crimson light began seeping out from the surrounding space. These strands converged toward the center, where Xiao Yan stood. His aura, which had dwindled to its limit, began to recover bit by bit. Ever since Yao Chen had entrusted the flame mantra to Xiao Yan on the continent of Doqi, Xiao Yan had regarded it as his most prized cultivation technique. Initially, he had believed it to be the creation of the ancient Tuasha ancient emperor. However, it wasn't until he inherited the ancient emperor's legacy that Xiao Yan realized both he and Tuasha ancient emperor had acquired the technique by chance. This revelation made Xiao Yan suspect that the flame mantra might have originated from the Great Thousand Worlds. The truth of its origins remained a mystery, but at this moment, the transcendent technique once again revealed its extraordinary capabilities. It drew upon its hidden potential to restore Xiao Yan's depleted spiritual energy. While Huang Yunpo was injured, he still retained some strength. In contrast, Xiao Yan's current condition, with his energy nearly exhausted, was far more precarious. He needed to recover as quickly as possible. Boom. As Xiao Yan activated the flame mantra, the aura radiating from it momentarily caused all other presences in the heavens and earth to falter. Even the injured Huang Yunpo, along with everyone else present, instinctively turned their gazes toward Xiao Yan. The mysterious fluctuation emanating from him struck them with an indescribable sense of shock. Xiao Yan quickly noticed the sudden, peculiar attention he was receiving. Their astonished expressions left him confused. Was there something unusual about him? No, impossible. This fluctuation, this is no spirit art. No, not even a divine art could produce such a force. A voice finally broke the silence, resounding across the battlefield. The source of the voice was none other than Huang Yunpo himself, his tone filled with disbelief. What kind of technique is this? How could it possess the ability to draw out the very power of flames from the surrounding space? Gu Luoshan stared at Xiao Yan in the distance, his face etched with incredulity. There are 4 cultivation methods in the Great Thousand Worlds that are powerful enough to draw the fire element from space. The Fire Spirit Clan's clan-guarding secret art, the Pill God Clan's Pillfire Codex passed down through the generations, the Living Spirit Flame technique from the ancient Myriad Grass Plains, and finally, the Boundless Flame Assimilation method from the 10,000 Heavenly Flames domain. The murmuring voice emerged from Gu Luoshan's mouth. This fluctuation, it resembles the Fire Spirit Clan's Pillfire Codex. Xiao Yan. How could he possess the Fire Spirit Clan's clan-guarding secret art? However, among everyone present, it seemed that only Gu Luoshan could sense the peculiarities of the cultivation method Xiao Yan was practicing. Neither Luo Jiutian nor Huang Yunpo seemed to notice anything unusual. I knew it. I truly underestimated you. Huang Yunpo wiped the fresh blood spilling from the corner of his mouth, his gaze filled with coldness as he stared at Xiao Yan. His voice was hoarse as it came from his throat. Xiao Yan remained silent, offering no response to Huang Yunpo. His expression was grave as he pushed the flame mantra to its limits, hoping to quickly restore his depleted spiritual energy. Since obtaining the flame mantra, he had been using it primarily to refine the heavenly flames. Only after reaching the Do-Di realm did Xiao Yan begin to realize the true nature of the flame mantra. The flame mantra is a technique that allows its practitioner to absorb and refine any fire element in the world. As long as there is fire in the heavens and earth, the practitioner can refine it with the flame mantra. Whether it's heavenly flames or the powerful beast flames, they are all just forms of fire energy. Even the ability to summon heavenly flames was not a result of Xiao Yan receiving the Tuasha ancient emperor's inheritance. In truth, it was because Xiao Yan had started to uncover the true nature of the flame mantra. Xiao Yan was even more curious now. What kind of person could create such a method that commands all the flames of heaven and earth? The flame mantra is the ultimate fire element summoning technique. However, if you think this will be enough to defeat me, you're terribly naive. Huang Yunpo's gaze turned increasingly savage, a maddened and twisted look spreading across his face. Blood-red color began to cover his eyes. The blood-red hue consumed his eyes, and in that instant, Xiao Yan's expression shifted slightly. Boom! A surge of terrifying blood aura erupted from Huang Yunpo's body, and his body suddenly expanded, causing the upper part of his clothes to disintegrate into dust. As Huang Yunpo's body swelled, his previously weak aura began to rise again. Those from the Luo God Great Camp in the distance, who had thought victory was within their grasp, now felt the terrifying blood energy enveloping the world, and their faces changed dramatically. No, it's impossible. This is Luo Jiutian, after forcing a 6th grade supreme powerhouse to retreat with a palm strike, turned to look toward the horizon. His pupils widened with horror as he sensed that in the span of just a few breaths, Huang Yunpo's aura, once nearly depleted, had soared back to its peak. Moreover, Huang Yunpo's aura was still growing. You are the first 6th grade supreme to make me take you seriously. I have no choice but to use the Blood God Clan's secret method, sacrificing half of my essence blood to gain more than double the power in a blood sacrifice. Huang Yunpo's now massive form glared at Xiao Yan with a sinister expression. From here on, even if you die, you'll die with honor. Boom! A tidal wave of blood-red energy swept from Huang Yunpo's body. His aura not only returned to the level of an 8th grade supreme, but it surged further, reaching the peak of the 8th grade supreme. The terrifying blood-colored spiritual energy filled the air. shaking the very fabric of space. Feeling the immense power emanating from Huang Yunpo, Xiao Yan's expression grew even more serious. He hadn't expected that even after his divine artifact and supreme Dharmakaya were destroyed, Huang Yunpo still had such fearsome abilities. Right now, Huang Yunpo's power was undoubtedly stronger than before. In the distance, Luo Jiutian and Gu Luo Shan, among others, were equally horrified. To think that Huang Yunpo had used the secret technique of the Blood God clan, burning his essence blood for a power boost. The scene was unimaginable. There was no way Xiao Yan could handle this. Even if Xiao Yan had countless tricks up his sleeve, he would not be able to defeat the now empowered Huang Yunpo. Just as Luo Jiutian and the others were filled with shock, Huang Yunpo grinned widely. His figure shifted, and in an instant, his terrifying speed made his presence vanish from the very air. Die! A deep, low voice echoed from the space in front of Xiao Yan. Then, Huang Yunpo's figure pierced through the void, appearing directly in front of Xiao Yan. So fast. Seeing that Huang Yunpo had crossed the vast expanse of space to appear right in front of him, Xiao Yan was slightly startled. It seemed that after his sudden surge in power, Huang Yunpo's speed had also increased dramatically. Huang Yunpo's palms surged with terrifying spiritual energy as he struck out directly at Xiao Yan. The power emanating from his blow was far greater than before. If it hit, even someone who had just stepped into the 8th grade Supreme would be severely injured. Bastard! Luo Jiutian roared in anger, channeling every bit of his spiritual energy to the limit. 2 spiritual palms shot out, targeting the 2 6th grade Supreme experts who were facing him. The roaring spiritual force turned into 2 enormous handprints, each 1,000 feet wide, and pressed down toward the 2 powerful 6th grade Supremes. Whoosh! After forcing the 2 6th grade Supremes back, Luo Jiutian's figure moved, shooting towards Xiao Yan's position. However, just as he leapt forward, his gaze landed on Xiao Yan, and he paused for a moment. Xiao Yan, facing the terrifying Huang Yunpo soaring through the sky, slowly raised his hand and spread his palm. To his surprise, several medicinal pills, radiating immense power, appeared in his palm. Those are spiritual pills. Seeing the pills in Xiao Yan's hand, Luo Jiutian's figure halted for a brief moment. A cold, astonished breath spread through the air. However, Luo Jiutian couldn't understand why Xiao Yan would take out these spiritual pills at such a time. As Luo Jiutian and the others were left puzzled by Xiao Yan's actions, Xiao Yan slowly looked up, staring at the incoming Huang Yunpo, who was about to strike with an earth-shattering blow. Xiao Yan's voice, calm but filled with resolve, rang out. Since you can use methods to temporarily enhance your strength, I will do the same to deal with you. Under the astonished gazes of everyone, Xiao Yan directly swallowed the spiritual pills in his hand. As soon as they entered his mouth, they transformed into torrents of pure spiritual energy that spread throughout his body. From a distance, Luo Jiutian and the others watched in shock as Xiao Yan consumed the pills, and at the same time, they felt a violent surge of spiritual energy flooding from his body. He's using spiritual pills to restore his power. Xiao Yan's actions were completely beyond Huang Yunpo's expectations, and he was just as clueless about how Xiao Yan had managed to take out so many pills at once. Boom! A ferocious palm, brimming with bloodthirsty energy, slammed down toward Xiao Yan. The cold, murderous hand seemed to rip through the very space itself, leaving cracks in its wake. At this moment, Huang Yunpo unleashed his most dangerous blood magic from the Blood God clan, determined to ensure that Xiao Yan would have no chance of recovering. Strike first, strike hard. Blood God's secret art. Demon Blood Palm. Huang Yunpo bellowed. Crimson blood light surged over his hand, transforming it into a blood-red fist that descended toward Xiao Yan with overwhelming power. Boom! In that moment, a tidal wave of red spiritual energy erupted from Xiao Yan's body, and his previously weakened aura exploded into its peak. The surge of spiritual energy instantly pushed him beyond the 6th grade Supreme level, reaching the 7th grade Supreme. Facing Huang Yunpo's blood-red fist, Xiao Yan also channeled his spiritual power to its fullest. With a mighty strike, a massive fireball emerged from his body, transforming into a towering, resplendent fire fist that soared through the sky. Yellow Spring Flame Palm. The enormous fire fist, measuring 1,000 feet across, collided with Huang Yunpo's blood-red palm with a deafening crash. The entire mountain range shook violently. A terrifying energy storm rained down from the sky, tearing the mountains below into massive cracks. Every peak within 1,000 miles was reduced to dust. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Apart from those like Gu Luoshan and Luo Jutian, the powerful supreme experts on both sides who were above 5th grade supreme quickly retreated, fearing being caught in the destructive storm. This might be the strongest confrontation yet. However, can Xiao Yan really withstand Huang Yunpo's strike? Boom. Luo Jutian and the others stared anxiously at the clash above, their expressions tense. The two giant palms collided with a deafening roar, and a terrifying energy storm swept across, distorting the very fabric of space. But under the pressure of the crimson blood palm, the massive fiery palm seemed to be falling into a slight disadvantage. Crack. Fine cracks began to spread across the fiery palm, and seeing this, Xiao Yan, standing behind it, narrowed his eyes. The power Huang Yunpo unleashed after activating the Blood God's secret art was indeed far beyond that of the previous 8th grade supreme. But this was all within Xiao Yan's expectations. Haha, no matter how many tricks you have, against absolute crushing power, you are powerless, aren't you? Huang Yunpo's laughter echoed from behind the crimson blood palm, as he rapidly changed the hand seals in his hands. His rolling spiritual energy surged into the blood-red palm, which grew even brighter and more intense. Bang! The now stronger crimson blood palm shattered the fiery giant palm in an instant, and Luo Jutian and the others, watching from afar, were shocked. Not good. Seeing the fiery palm explode, Luo Jutian exclaimed in surprise. But just as his voice fell, a flame-like figure shot out from the destroyed fiery palm, soaring across the sky. In that figure's hand, 2 pills once again appeared, glowing ominously. Xiao Yan swallowed the 2 pills containing terrifying energy in one go, and his aura surged back to its peak. In an instant, the raging fire that had engulfed the surrounding space disappeared, and Xiao Yan's hand held a small glowing spot of light. Xiao Yan raised the heavenly pattern in his hand and flicked his finger. The spot of light shot across the sky, colliding with the descending crimson blood palm. Everyone held their breath, watching the peak clash between the two forces. The tiny heavenly pattern burst with brilliant light before the crimson blood palm, and a terrifying wave of energy rippled out, sending shivers through everyone present. Bang!